And we're back. I walked down the hall of the girls' dormitories, my school bag in hand. A doll lies inside, carefully placed on top of a small box. I've been carrying the box in there for a while now, still not sure what to do with it. This whole situation, come to think of it, is bizarre. Well, I've known of Hanako's upcoming birthday party for a while now. I had no idea of what exactly the celebrations would be until I found a single note left in the abandoned tea room earlier today. I hold it up and read it again, double-checking the instructions. The plain black handwriting's fairly legible despite Lily's blindness, clearly thanks to considerable effort and care. Isao, we'll be holding a party at my place. Please come at 6 o'clock to room 225 in the girls' dormitory. Sorry for notifying you this way, but I have class representative duties. Lily Seto. Not reassured, I continue walking down the hallway until I reach Lily's dormitory room. I hesitate for a second, but eventually give 3 sharp taps at the door. A brief and muffled exchange of words can be heard from the other side. Listening closer, I can just pick out Hanako and Lily's voices. As they finish, Lily calls out, Might you be Hisao? Yep, I got the note you left for me. You can come in, the door's unlocked. Glad that I managed to get the right room. I press down on the handle and let myself in. As the door swings open, my greeting to them is stolen from my mouth. Oh, how cute. Lily sits at a low table in the center of the room in her pajamas, while the other side sits Hanako in a nightgown. Being dressed in only my normal school clothes, I feel quite out of place. I steal a quick glance at the lovely side of the two, my eyes tearing themselves from Lily's long, thin, pale legs, only with a measure of reluctance. Hi, I think I brought everything that was needed. She smiles and nods. I wonder if she's even aware of the pleasant sight she makes. The thin, dark blue silk of her pajamas really suits her, accentuating both her eyes and her curves. The look of her last night, that tentative and almost shy demeanor, seems all but replaced by her coy nature. It's nice to see her confidence return, though I can't help casting my mind back to how she looked back then. I look to Hanako, who nervously sits opposite in her gown. It isn't a surprise that she'd wear something so conservative, though it definitely looks cute. Hi, Hanako. Happy birthday. Thank you. She's unusually skittish, despite the fact she's warmed up to me considerably over the week we've come to know each other. This is a pretty unusual situation, I guess. Feel free to take a seat, Isao. I'll just pour you two some tea. Sure thing. Lily takes the steaming red teapot from the side of the table and gently pours its contents into our teacups as I take a seat beside them, setting my bag against the nearby wall. With my senses turned and hormones somewhat calmer, I realize that this is the first time I've ever been in Lily's room. The first thing I notice is the ambient smell, just slightly different from that in mine. Probably faint perfume or nail polish. It could be anything of a girl's, really. Another is the plain nature of the room, visually. Beige walls, a smart yet unadorned cabinet, the lack of posters or wall hangings. It's distinctively utilitarian, something I should have anticipated given her blindness. The only thing that really seems out of the ordinary is several piles of books sitting on the floor, each reaching from roughly knee height to waist height. Some of them have printed titles, others are entirely blank except for dots of braille. The fact that the ones with printed titles are uniformly in English is interesting, though not completely unexpected. She did mention her parents impressing the language upon her and Akira after all. Your room looks nice, Lily. I hear a call of thanks from beside my shoulder. Looking back to Hanako, her gaze is fixed on her lap and her hands are nervously clutching her gown. It's now that I notice why. With these clothes on, the extent of her scarring is far more visible, reaching down her neck and out to cover her right shoulder. Considering this is a party for her, she doesn't really look like she's enjoying the experience now that I'm here. So, how old are you turning? 18? The look of surprise, not at all helped by her total lack of skill at hiding her feelings, shows that she was trying to mentally tune me out. This is really quite awkward. Yes. On the plus side, there's only 2 more years till you can drink, so who's older, you or Lily? Lily, she had her birthday in February. What about yours? Earlier this year, so it's already passed. Unstated is that it passed while I was stuck in the hospital. That was a particularly low point of the experience. Conversation with her dries up as quickly as expected, but it isn't long before Lily is finishing preparing our drinks, setting down 3 teacups in front of us. I pick mine up, immediately noticing a much stronger aroma and taste than the tea we've been having. It tastes different than the tea we have in school. It's a different variety rather than the kind we've been having there. You've never tasted orange jaipur before. Not that I can remember. I usually drink coffee after all, like when we were in town. This is nice, though. As we settle down and sip, Hanako seems to become more relaxed, or at least a bit less tense about my presence. We all finish our cups at about the same time, with Hanako failing rather badly at hiding her anticipation for the cake that's sitting to the side begging to be eaten. Come to think of it, I'm feeling very eager myself. First things first, though. Lily? Yes, that was good. Each of us knowing exactly what the other means, I lean sideways and dig around in my bag for the doll I bought Hanako as Lily gets up and retrieves her gift. Hiding our gifts in our hands, we present them both to the table at the same time. Happy birthday. Hanako silently sits looking at them for seconds on end, out of sheer surprise. My little wooden doll, replete with Victorian-era dress and little hat, lies next to a light brown and fluffy stuffed bear from Lily. She clutches at her gown as she moves to speak, not taking her eyes off the modest presents. Thank you, Lily and Hazao. Her voice begins to crack as Lily reaches forward, wrapping her in a soft embrace. The sight of Hanako holding Lily so tightly is heartwarming, so much so that I couldn't wipe the smile off my face even if I wanted to. As Lily gently rests her face on Hanako's head, she speaks so quietly and softly that I can barely hear her. Happy birthday, Hanako. Happy birthday, I say for the third time. Hanako gives a small nod, holding on to Lily for a time before breaking off and wiping an eye. I guess that for Hanako, simply having anyone, to be there and love her would be special. The fact that Lily and I can now share that role for her is something I think I will always be grateful for. Hanako gently takes the doll and teddy bear, holding them both to her chest as she warmly smiles. Oh, that doll is actually kind of cute. I thought it would be one of those creepy old things. For a long time, all three of us simply sit in happy silence. The quiet is not broken until Lily's soft voice beckons. Shall we have the cake, then? Her proposal is met with two looks of unhidden anticipation. No argument from me. Okay. That was good. I contentedly sit back, both Lily and Hanako looking just as satisfied with the food as I. It took some effort, but we managed to finish off the cake in one go. I don't think I could fit any more in. I think next time I'll buy a smaller cake. Hanako and I give a chuckle, but I can't help noticing that come this time next year, we'll have graduated from Yamaku. The fact is somewhat depressing, since I finally feel as if my life is starting to get back into some kind of order. Idly looking around Lily's neat and orderly room, her books catch my eye once again. This may be a little impetuous, but my curiosity gets the better of me. Besides, I don't think she'll mind in any case. Hey Lily, do you mind if I take a look at one of your books? You're quite welcome to, Hazao. That said, if you can overcome 2 language barriers, I will be quite impressed. 2? Braille and... oh, right, English. She gives a nod. I know you're studying English, but I'm still amazed that you're this proficient at it. One could say it's a perfect way to avoid people boring my collection. She says it in jest, but I'm a little disappointed having all these books around me with no way of reading them feels like one big tease. Hanako giggles quietly as I reach over the closest pile, plucking the topmost book with only a cursory glance. Death on the Nile in large letters on the cover is the only printed text to be seen. I sat down for a while with the open book in my lap as Lily and Hanako talk. This reminds me of Pokemon Ruby, because you had to know Braille for one of the puzzles. Try as I might to feel out the dots of Braille printed on each page, they seemed to blend into one another and become indistinct. I thought this would be a lot easier than it actually is with some practice, though. I could see someone with a better sense of touch than mine managing to read at a pretty fast speed. Noticing a silence that had probably begun earlier, I look up from the dotted pages to see Lily smiling as Hanako sips another cup of tea. Is something wrong? Quite the opposite. Your curiosity is quite endearing. I am inordinately pleased by the praise, though I can feel my cheeks heating up a little. Thanks. I don't know how else I could act. To be honest, I wasn't altogether sure of how you saw us, since you were a new transfer student from another school. If you'd pitied us, I would have been quite offended. There's a certain edge to Lily's voice, one that I'd quite possibly place as pride. Glancing over to Hanako, she seems even more subdued than usual, looking towards Lily rather than me. And I wouldn't worry about that, considering the position I found myself in. I'm perhaps the last person that should be dispensing pity on others. My parents' first interactions with me after my heart attack, I wouldn't want to see anyone with that kind of face. I catch myself from going any further, but not soon enough. Both of the girls seem to be put off, Lily especially. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gone that far. An awkward silence reigns over for a few beats, thankfully ended as Lily's head perks up in a gesture I've come to easily recognize. Hear something? The door. Everyone looks towards it, trusting Lily's senses. True enough, the door handle shudders and turns, a flash of yellow and black slipping through. Akio Sato is in the house. Happy birthday, Hanako. Thank you. Akio takes a seat at the table as she plops her tall bag beside her. She has her trademark boisterous air about her, making no small deal of her entrance. Hanako clutches her gown to steady herself, but doesn't appear too shaken after she settles down. I guess she must have met Akira before. Not a huge surprise given how close Akira and Lily are. Akira doesn't seem to be the least bit put off by Hanako's scarring despite its prominence, but she also doesn't pull any punches in how she acts despite Hanako's shy nature. I thought you said you'd have to work, Akira. Did you manage to get off for a while? Kinda. I feel bad about ditching the guys who are doing overtime, so I gotta get back soon. But I felt bad about not coming to your cute little Hanako's birthday too, so for now I'm here. She grins widely at Hanako, who flowers into a full blush as she pins her eyes downwards towards her lap. Her mouth seems to widen and retract over and over, as if she was trying to suppress a smile out of embarrassment. It's a little strange how her reaction seems to be more immediate and forceful than when she's embarrassed by the way she looks. All she manages to give in return is a tiny nod, failing to hide her appreciation to any great extent. Not that many people can give her positive attention, I suppose, because it makes me respect how well Akira can handle her, making her so happy compared to what little I could do. Now then, before I go, she reaches into the bag beside her and grandly displays its contents. Out come 2 large glass bottles, both with long French names on the labels. Hanako's expression is an odd mix of surprise and curiosity, and I suspect mine's no different. Lily, not seeing the proceedings, is oblivious to what's going on. Akira, isn't this... What is it? Wine. 1 red, 1 white. Akira, that's... Relax. It's not like Shizune's here to scold you. Well, he has a point. That's not exactly allowed on campus. Or anywhere, really. We're still short of the legal drinking age, remember? Rich words for someone practically drooling as they examine a bottle. She got me there. I'm generally interested in trying some, even just a little. While Hanako may not be handling one herself, her look does tell me she's far from opposed to the notion as well. Lily rubs her forehead, giving up the fight that she knows Akira would win due to simply not caring enough about these funny rules and regulations. Just don't breathe a word of this to anyone in the school, please, I beg of you. I'm not stupid, don't worry. That said, I gotta get back to work pretty soon. So soon, but you only just arrived. Sorry, Lily, good to see you two again, though. And you, Izao. See you later, then. Goodbye, Akira. She levers herself up with a grunt and waltzes out of the room, leaving us alone with the 2 items on the table. Interesting. Lily gives a nervous giggle at her sister's antics as Hanako takes a wine bottle. So, what do you think, Lily? She rests her elbow on the table and pinches the bridge of her nose, thinking things through. She really doesn't seem to be able to keep up with her sister. Well, it's already here. We may as well have some. No sooner does she say it than I take a quick glance around the room for glasses. I thought it was going to give me a choice. A small groan above me reminds me that Lily retired to rest on her bed for a bit a few minutes ago. Almost completely drained of energy, I managed to stand up and drag myself to the side of the bed, sitting down and leaning my back against it. Good God. Lily's groan sounds lifeless. Too much to drink. My head hurts. Yeah, too much to drink. I rest my head back and idly stare at the ceiling. What an unmitigated disaster. Like proper idiots, we all drank the night away with one glass after another. Hanako simply fell to the side asleep, and it's a miracle I don't feel as ill as Lily. Hey, Izao, I'm sorry about today. I didn't think this would happen. It's fine, Lily, to tell the truth. I had a lot of fun today. Really? I think Hanako did too. No, she certainly did. There's a short silence before another groan resounds from the supine Lily. You okay? As you said, I just drank too much. What's the time? The time, it's... I quickly look at my wristwatch. Its numerals barely legible in the gloom. About midnight. Curfew's in effect, then. Yep, guess as much. We'll have to sleep here for tonight. As soon as I say it, I hear the sheets moving as Lily starts to sit up. Hanako. No, go back to sleep. Don't try to get up. Izao, I have to... You're in worse shape than me by any stretch. Get some rest. But what about... I'll grab some spare blankets and put them over her. Don't worry. As I give a deep yawn and stand to retrieve them, I hear her lie back down with a soft thud. Thank you, Izao. No problem. It's the least I can do. You look outright wasted. I'm not wasted, just a little bit tired. She starts pouting, a slight slur beginning to distort her words as the alcohol takes a hold of her again. I grab a couple of blankets rolled up at the end of her bed. Quietly walking over to Hanako, I carefully lay the blankets over her peacefully sleeping figure, making sure not to wake her up. The thick smell of alcohol coming off her breath makes me doubt she'd wake up no matter what I did, though. I stand and take one last measure of the room. Two girls, both very drunk, and one guy sleeping overnight with them in the female student's dorm. What a scandal that'd be if it broke out. As I move to sit back down at the side of the bed, I steal one last glance at Lily. Her sprawling, disheveled figure lies resting peacefully, slightly turned to the side. I crouch down to get a better look. Her white skin blends in with the white pillow of the bed, a look of slumber-born peacefulness on her face. Usually she seems so confident and forward, always there and caring for Hanako. Now, though, she seems painfully delicate. There's been, 5 different CGs in this part. I think back to Hanako's presence. Thought it would be a nice occasion for her, but I'd hardly expected it to be so moving. One birthday after another, year after year. Just she and Lily all alone. I guess it wasn't just the present she liked. Resigning myself to an uncomfortable sleep, I sit down to the side of the bed once again and rest my tired arms beside me. Hey, Zao. Lily's voice is so quiet I can barely hear it. She must be on the verge of sleep. Yeah? Thank you. Thank you. For what? For being here. No, that's okay. As I hear a deep breath, it's obvious Lily's gone to sleep. After closing my eyes, it doesn't take long for slumber to take me as well. Are we gonna have a transition? No? Zao, are you? The soft, barely audible voice lingering in my ears slowly wakes me. I wish I could be awoken like this more often. With a mumble, I slowly open my... Whoa. Taken by surprise at the face hovering curiously mere millimeters from mine, I make our heads collide with a harsh thud. The impact of our foreheads causes both of us to fall backwards with a yelp in pain, Lily's sounding more like a squeak toy than a person. Ow, ow, ow. I slowly rub my forehead with one hand, supporting myself with the other. Lily lies a few feet ahead, doing just the same, her face obviously pained. Sorry, your face was kind of close and I acted on reflex. You okay? My head. Seems she's not actually okay. Come to think of it, I doubt that impact alone is what's causing her head so much pain. And the hangover? You drank a fair bit last night. She silently nods in confirmation as I lever myself up. I offer a hand to her and help her back onto her feet. Glancing behind her, I find that Hanako is still fast asleep. It's not fair, I only drank as much as you did. That's very different from what I remember. And anyway, girls have a lower tolerance than men. Do they? I didn't know that. That doesn't help. Fine, I'll get you a glass of water. Just be careful not to trip over Hanako. I rub the sleep out of my eyes, or at least some of it, as I walk to the counter. Tending to someone with a hangover isn't the way I like to spend a morning. It only takes a few minutes for the glass to fill, the clear water reflecting the sliver of light that makes it through the thin curtains. Looks like Lily's taking a seat on the side of the bed. I walk over to her while taking care to step over the peacefully sleeping Hanako and place the glass into her outstretched hands. Thank you. No problem. I take a seat next to her, the soft bed having a surprising amount of give. She drinks slowly and methodically. A long silence passes with only Hanako's soft breathing to be heard. With some measure of guilt, I look at Lily's face and attempt to read her expression. Her brow is furrowed, and she looks to be lost in thought. For a moment I hesitate, but eventually place a hand on her shoulder in an attempt to reassure her. I didn't expect her to flinch rather noticeably at that, though. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Lily quickly shakes her head in a manner somewhat more violent than usual for her. She takes a long breath to steady herself before letting her head sink. I must look terrible right now. I moved to protest, but quickly realized that it would be futile to do so. That said, I want her to open up more. If you want to talk about anything, I'm here. Lily gives a self-deprecating snort as if to mock her own emotions. There's just a lot happening right now. I'm sorry for being so strange recently, especially back when we were in town. Even now I'm a bit confused about everything. And believe me, I know how that feels. She smiles wistfully, resting a cheek on the backs of her fingers. We're a couple of broken young fools, aren't we? Come on, don't say that. Come graduation, we'll be back out in the real world. The real world. Sometimes I surprise myself with the way I think about things. I guess the strange, divorced feeling of Yamaku and the surrounding town compared to the outside world still hasn't become natural. Maybe it never will. It's strange in hindsight. Being isolated from society like this doesn't feel as bad as it probably should. A wry grin on her face. Lily seems to share the same sense of amusement at the idea. Eventually, though, her smile drops. I'll be going back to Scotland for a week or two soon. Is that why we had to reschedule Hanako's birthday party? She gives an affirmative nod. You'll be able to see your family again, at least. You're not looking forward to it? I haven't met my family in 6 years. I don't even know how to act around them anymore. Wait, what? My mouth hangs open as I try to process what she said. If she's 18, that means she had been only 12 when they left. I may have seen very little of my parents, but with them both working long hours, but that's... I feel utterly useless as I struggle to find some way to respond. Why? Why did they leave, or why are they inviting Akira and I back? Both, I suppose. My father's business has its headquarters in Scotland, and an executive position became available for him there. In the end, he had to move permanently. My mother followed him, but Akira and I stayed in Japan for the sake of both Akira's job within the Japanese branch of my father's company and my education. As for the latter, one of my aunts is gravely sick. No, I'm sorry. Don't be. It feels strange, Julie. We're being summoned there for her, yet we've barely met before. I can't even remember the sound of her voice. Equally strange is the total lack of antipathy she feels towards her family for doing such a thing. I can't help feeling slightly humbled. That said, her wistful exterior is just hiding her emotions. Seeing her like this is depressing. Knowing what to do, I lift myself off the bed. Lily notices the bed's movements, her head perking up and her hand reaching sideways to feel where I was. Hisao? I walk over to my bag, still leaning against the wall, unbuckling the front flap and retrieving the opaque bag from within. I take the small, plain box in my hands. Hold your hands out, Lily. She looks surprised for a moment, but eventually acquiesces. Okay. I'm amused by her look of curiosity when I place the music box into her open palms. Her typically delicate way of handling it, making it seem as if it were fragile enough to break if breathed on. She wordlessly brings it in front of her face, her slender fingers feeling out its contours and patterning. Eventually, her fingers find the recessed line between the lid and body of the box, and her thumb effortlessly pops open the lid. I take a seat on the bed next to her, watching her face silently and intently. She sits completely motionless as she listens to the diminutive, tiny melody, her mouth just slightly open. It takes a long while before she closes the lid with a small snap, bringing the curtain down on a miniature performance laying in her hands. A smile on her face, gentle and wistful, shows that I made the right decision. Think of it as a going-away present for your trip to Scotland. I will. A restless shuffling can be heard from the floor in front of us, the sound having woken Hanako. She climbs out of the blankets I put over her, looking befuddled and wiping the sleep from her eyes. I see you're finally up. What? Hanako looks around the room with her eyes only half open, her mind far from being as awake as her body. Her dazed state makes me and Lily chuckle. As Lily gets off the bed and tends to Hanako, I take one last look around the room. I guess I'd better get going then. There'll be questions if I'm seen leaving the girls' dormitory in the morning. Goodbye, Hisao. Oh, goodbye. I stand and walk to the door, picking up my somewhat lighter bag along the way. After I leave the room and enter the hallway, though, I hear Lily's footsteps behind me. What's wrong? Without a word, she strides up to me. I freeze as I feel her hand slide onto my cheek, seemingly every nerve taking in the feeling of her fingers and palm upon it. Immediately after, her face slowly moves next to mine, a light, momentary touch of her lips brushing against my other cheek. For a moment, everything seems to stand still. I absentmindedly bring my fingers to my cheek as if trying to recapture that fleeting feeling. Lily. That's my thank you, Hisao. Thank you. For your present. Have a nice day in school. And with that, she disappears behind her door and gently closes it. The muffled voices of she and Hanako audible through it as much as they were last night. I think it'd be hard-pressed not to have a nice day after that. I walk away with a certain spring to my step. I think there were some people around that glanced at me emerging from the girls' dormitory building, but I found it difficult to care. Skip that. Hii-chan. Go away. Hii-chan. Leave me alone. Come on, Hii-chan. Let me sleep. After 2 nights of not being able to sleep at all, the last thing I want is to be woken when I finally manage to. Maybe the last period of class with a textbook as my pillow, but I'll take whatever sleep I can get by this point. See, Hii-chan, even Shi-chan wants you to get up. I don't care what Shizune wants, leave me alone. Geez, Hii-chan, I'll just have to wake. Wait, Misha's going to... You? This is bad. I'm up, you don't have to. I can feel my face flowering into a scarlet red blush. Students still in class are sitting bolt upright and staring at the shouting fool who was sleeping just moments before. Damn it. I let my head smack back down on the table with a noticeable thud. Misha's trademark uncontrolled laughter reverberates through the classroom. As I turn my mournful eyes to the bespectacled Shizune beside her, she carefully adjusts her glasses, desperately trying to maintain a look of serious disapproval. Narrowing my eyes, I can see the badly hidden grin spreading across her face. Et-tu, Shizune? Shizune looks away quickly as she crosses her arms tightly, barely on the edge of her control. Misha's laughter doubles in volume as she glances at Shizune. All I can do is drag my hand down my face in resignation. You two. Who was the one who slept in class, Hii-chan? Yeah, it was me. Poor Shi-chan was having a fit trying to wake you up, weren't you? I move my eyes back to the standoffish Shizune, who, with a single huff of confirmation, returns to looking away with her arms crossed. Why was Shizune trying to wake me up? Shi-chan wanted to give you the handouts the substitute teacher gave out while T-chan was sleeping. Handouts? I suddenly find 2 sheets of paper thrust down in front of my face. Following the hand holding them, I see the still pouting figure looking down at me with a distinct scowl. I guess I really am in the wrong here. Oh, sorry about that. No dice, her irritated face still holds. I clasp my hands together and flick my head downwards in apology. Very, very sorry. She huffs and simply drops the papers on the desk. Damn. I look over my hands to Shizune and Misha signing frantically to each other, a look of frustration on Shizune's face. Looks to be less of dialogue and more of a tirade, punctuated with sidelong glances at me. To say it's unsettling is an understatement. The two suddenly stop signing and look at me in unison, both having exactly the same look of disapproval. In one fluid motion, Misha's hand suddenly extends high above me and comes rocketing down. Before I can even hope to react, my head is sent bouncing up and down like a jack-in-the-box. I quickly bring my hands to my head, more a reflex than actual pain. Ow, what was that for? I open my eyes to see the two grinning at each other while exchanging an enthusiastic thumbs up. Shi-chan says she forgives you now, He-chan. Could you forgive me with a little less force next time? I look at the two with a blank face. Misha and Shizune 1, Hizao nil. Oh, Shi-chan says that you should check your student mail more often. She produces a bright yellow envelope and hands it to me with an exuberant grin. Strange, you could have written me a letter. Now is not the time and most definitely not the place to find out, though. Giving up on the nap so cruelly stolen from me, I rub my forehead and slowly get up, putting the sheets and envelope in my bag before swinging it over my shoulder. I take a step back and move to depart with a small bow, while Misha clutches her sides laughing and Shizune nods back in a curt farewell. Let me take a drink. Oh, the neighbor's dog is barking again. He hasn't done that in a while. I join the flow of students exiting the open door and turn the corner into the hallway. Only to end up face-to-face with Hanako. Oh, hey Hanako. Good afternoon, Hizao. Silence falls between us as busily chatting students pass by as she's fidgeting constantly, her eyes drawn to her rather unremarkable footwear. I take the bridge of my nose in my fingers while I blink my eyes heavily in an attempt to make things seem clearer. I'm barely staying awake as it is. Hanako, you want to say something? What is it? I wanted to give you this. She holds out a small rectangular piece of paper. I blink again to make out the text through barely open eyes, slowly starting to make out what's written. Eggs 2, bread loaf 1, whole grain cereal 1, thyme 1. Shopping list? I look upwards, raising an eyebrow. I usually go shopping with Lily, but I can't come, so you want me to run errands for you? It's okay if you don't want to, I just thought that maybe... She's panicking. I sigh, yet another battle lost, though this time by a weakly fought surrender. I smile tiredly and rest a hand on her head to calm her down. It's fine, I was gonna go anyway. Just the stuff on this list? She bows, then, she nods, then bows deeply, twice, as if to make her gratitude perfectly clear. We were gonna meet outside the school gates at 6. Thank you, I was going to get it, but I need to study for the test tomorrow. Test? That's right, science. How are you doing with it? She brightens ever so lightly. I've been spending more time on it than before. I think I can do okay. Good work, then. She, too, starts smiling, and much more earnestly than I at that. I have full confidence that I can do fine in it without any extra studying, but the fact that she's putting in the effort instead of just reading in the library is heartening. I'll grab your stuff and take it to the dorm in the evening. See ya. With a small wave, we part ways. I'll go do my homework before meeting Lily. I should be able to take care of it in time. Wrangling with a particularly complicated math problem has caused me to be a little bit late for my meeting with Lily. Only a couple of minutes, but enough to make me step smartly out into the courtyard and to the school gates. I make a right turn and start my way towards the small town below, leaving a few students turning the other way to the bus station. I slip my right hand into my pockets as I walk in the orange sunlight of dusk. Thankfully, the sweltering summer heat's starting to die down, making way for a pleasant cool breeze. When I stretch my hand high above my head, a familiar figure takes form, cane in her right hand. Oh, Lily. She stops and turns around, swiveling her head slightly to try and work out exactly where the voice came from. Hey, it's me. I quickly catch up to her, coming in beside her and matching her slow pace as we resume walking. Good afternoon, Azao. Hi there. I glance up at the sky. A distinct tinge of orange discolors the clouds, washing the footpath in its light. Long shadows from the trees fall across the wide road down the hill. So, Zao, what brings you here? Just going to town to grab some groceries. Hanako sent me. Hanako sent you? Yeah, she said she needed to study for a test tomorrow. I was going to come down anyway, so I'll just buy her stuff as well. Unspoken is that Lily really could use some help to get the food, but it's an obvious fact that neither of us needs to stay. It's good to hear she's studying for it. I thought the same thing when she asked me to come with you. We continue walking down the street, the familiar sound of her cane echoing through the air as we go. Except for the occasional passing car and the leaves whispering in the branches, there's a blissful silence. Thank God I can finally relax for the first time today. I glance over at Lily. That porcelain face of hers never seems to lack the air of a relaxed confidence. I guess the same could be said of her personality, too. As she silently walks, her face remaining pointed to the street ahead of her, I look ahead and savor the cool air blowing over my face. This is probably the calmest moment I've had since the about-face my life took so recently. To have it while walking to get some groceries, what a weird life. I feel the crumpled-up note rubbing against my hand in my pocket, and pull it out to check its contents. Let's see here. Eggs, bread, cereal, thyme, lettuce, shaved ham. Sounds like quite a bit to carry back along with your own. Yeah, just how much does this girl eat anyway? My mind suddenly clicks that yes, there actually is a person beside me. Wait, I mean... She laughs wholeheartedly. My Azao. Her giggles punctuate her words, though she's making little effort to express them. Quite direct today, aren't we? Yeah, you got me there. Still, it is quite a bit. Usually I go shopping with Hanako, so I know what she buys. It's the same thing every week. She's a good cook? She gives a nervous giggle. It's usually me who ends up cooking. I used to do so for Akia, so it's no problem doing it for Hanako as well. You can cook, but... Short hum with an amused lilt emanates from beside me. I wonder if the fact that she seems amused by my comments so often is actually genuine, or rather just from a want to make me more comfortable in addressing her blindness. There are ways around it. Some meals are more difficult to cook than others because of being unable to see what I'm doing, but usually only takes a little more time. Fingers can double as very useful measurement tools, for example. Makes sense, but she'd have to be pretty careful not to hurt herself. I wonder how many times that's happened, given that it sounds like she's cooked alone for possibly years while Akia worked and her parents were gone. With that, the conversation trails off. Compared to the awkward silence of Hanako, Lily seems genuinely content to say what she thinks and stay quiet when there's nothing to say. The slick road under my feet is bathed in orange glow, the occasional fallen leaf crunching underfoot as we walk. I let out a deep yawn, my lack of sleep coming back to haunt me. Did you not get much sleep last night? I couldn't sleep at all for the last 2 nights, probably insomnia. Lily's face suddenly becomes worried. It feels like a personal failure every time she gets worried about my well-being, even if it's genuinely nice to know someone cares. You have insomnia. Aren't you going to see the nurse about it? No real need. It's happened before a few times. I'm mid-screw with my sleeping occasionally. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on, it's not your fault. At least I shouldn't have any trouble getting to sleep tonight. You do worry me sometimes. I worry you. I reach around and scratch the back of my neck. I kind of want to adjust this. Hey, Lily. I don't mean to sound weird, but please try to forget about my heart condition. She looks kind of lost. I hardly blame her. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, you just don't treat me differently because of it. She bows her head slightly, her white cheeks reddening almost imperceptibly. It's only natural to worry about those around you. Well, it's so nice to know there's someone like that out there. Maybe somewhat embarrassing to say, but it's the truth. Lily takes a breath to regain her composure and manages a gentle smile, though her cheeks remain flushed. The final downhill walk to the store passes in complete silence. Welcome. I suppose I'll get my stuff first, then Hanako's in the second round. I grab 2 well-worn red baskets from the stack beside the entrance and pass on to Lily. Just as she did before, she lays it on the ground and slides her retractable cane between the basket's handles before picking it back up with her right hand. When she takes hold of my arm in her own, I'm surprised at just how fast this kind of casual contact became so natural, mostly due to necessity, no doubt. Shall we? Sure. While we navigate around the store, the odd person occasionally passing us pays us no heed at all. It's nice compared to the stares and whispers around the city. As we reach each aisle, I quickly check with Lily what she needs and grab it along with what I want, putting our items into their respective baskets. It's an odd feeling to be depended on so much for something so basic as shopping. Hanako would be practically a necessity for her to pick out what she wants, after all. Right, I'm pretty much done with both my stuff and Hanako's. You need anything else, Ollie? No, this should be everything. Off we go then. Oddly, there's a queue a mile long. Considering the store's only large enough to warrant one counter, seems like it'll take a while. Yeah, damn. Lily gives an inquisitive look, unable to see the reason for my complaint. The queue's really long. Looks like we'll have to wait. How strange. Sharing the same mood of resignation, we reluctantly take our place at the end of the line. One person finishes, the line moves up. Another person finishes, the line moves up. By the time we finally reach the head of the aisle, I'm so close to dozing off that Lily has to gently pat me on the back for me to move up. Izao. Sorry. She gives a sort of sigh of consternation as I move up, getting the groceries for Hanako and I put in separate bags. Thank you, please come again. By the time we emerge from the store, Lily is holding a single bag while I struggle to carry four, both hands well and truly full. It's a lot of work, but thankfully the items in them are light. Even without looking skyward, it's obvious that a surprising amount of time has passed, the road outside being dark and lit by street lamps. Once Lily retrieves her cane, we set back out to the dormitories the way we came, leaving the welcoming, warm glow of the star. Despite the road being empty of cars, the full bags abundantly make up for the lack of noise, constantly clunking and squeaking together. My, Hizao, it's good to find that you're eating well. I'm a growing guy, after all. I need to eat all I can. Must be nice being a man. What? Seemingly not noticing or ignoring my surprise at the completely out-of-left-field comment, she continues on without missing a beat. Weight doesn't really bother you when eating most of the time. I get what you mean. Women tend to worry about stuff like that more than we do, I guess. Exactly. It makes me somewhat envious, to be honest. Well, it's not like we can outright ignore it. With an affirmative nod, we continue on our walk. That's right. What is it? Hanako mentioned your birthday was earlier this year. Did you do anything special for it? She gives a long pause, lost in thought for a few seconds as she recalls the event. Not really. It was just Hanako and I having a little party during the night after school. Your birthday's supposed to be a big event, you know. Sounds like a pretty lonely way to spend a birthday, just she and Hanako staying overnight. Birthdays always felt like a family occasion for me. They were a time when, in spite of their full-time jobs, both my parents would make an effort to be there for the day, or at least for a party beforehand. It reminds me of how Lily mentioned she hadn't seen her family in such a long time and even ended up moving away from Akira's house afterwards. But I guess it's the same in situations as mundane as these. Considering her inability to read the packaging, just getting groceries would be a pain without somebody else around. In the end, she just has Hanako and I and Akira when she's off from work. Be that as it may, she still seems to have many more distant friends among the students, not to mention people like Yuko. It seems to be her own choice that there's such a separation between those who are close to her and those who she only socializes with. It humbles me a little to see how much Lily seems to have her life set up and going just the way she wants. Yet Hanako is there for her to celebrate her birthday, and I'm here helping her with shopping. It's kind of weird symbiosis, I suppose. Are you alright, Hizao? Sorry? You just seem to go very quiet, that's all. Oh, sorry, I was just thinking. Oh? And now I piqued your curiosity. It feels kind of overly personal to talk about, though. I was thinking about how you seem to have everything so sorted out, even with Hanako relying on you. I can admit that I kind of relied on you when we first transferred in. I think it's a good quality to have. I turned to Lily, surveying her reaction. She's forcing herself to look forward and furrowing her brow quite a bit. Her face looks a bit awkward, as if she's trying to find just the right words. Lily. I would thank you, but assuming that I don't rely on the presence of others is too much, you'd be wrong to think that Hanako simply depends on me with nothing in return. She seems to have quite a bit of trouble saying it, even though it's largely what I thought it already. If she's tried so hard to maintain her independence as anyone would have had to in her position, cited or not, maybe she finds it hard to talk about her own needs. It's only now that I realize an omission in what she says, though I decide to follow it up largely in jest to avoid things getting too personal. Oh, and what about me? She suddenly runs ahead of me and turns, blocking me off. With a smile, she holds her hands behind her as she leans forward. You're different. And with that, she turns back and continues to walk ahead of me, a newfound spring in her step. All I can do is raise an eyebrow and give a dazed grin. I don't think I've ever seen this playful and teasing side of her before. So, I'm different. It's hard to... Damn, dog. It's hard to work out the exact context, but knowing her, this ambiguity is intended. My relationship has been changing, at the very least, simply because I've begun to stand on my own feet more and started getting more curious about the situation of those around me. As to why, probably a mix of personal curiosity and I want to try and work out how to deal with my situation. I'm less sure of Lily, though. That's why her own statement, so similar to my own feelings towards her, throws me off so much. Watching her make her way up the street, cane tapping from left to right, I decide to settle the matter later and just smile. This is a nice side to her, and I don't want to forget it. What the heck is all that noise behind it? Alright, well, wait, what? Oh, okay. Okay, well, I'm gonna end it here. That choice seemed to go well. I kind of want to see what would have happened if I chose the other option. Yes, Mr. Dog. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.